What does it say for the state of the world when the streets aren't safe for a working girl? The cries of the human race.
Hey everybody, this is Darwin Reina. I'm the festival director of Hospitalejo Rega International Film Festival. Today we have a person that I really admire a lot, Jeza Belle. Jeza Belle,
Yes!
thank you for being with me. You are part of this festival. You are very important in our festival. Thank you for everything that you have done for the festival. I mean, I have no words. How are you, Jeza? And thank you.
Oh, well, I am wonderful, and thank you. I am so excited. This is going to be a kick butt festival, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you for having me. And Darwin, love and adore you, known you for ages, and you are just fabulous, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of this festival.
Oh, yes, again, I say again, thank you so much. I mean, you're amazing. Look at you. You look wonderful. How can you look this beautiful? Huh? Tell me the secret. What's going on?
The secret is lots and lots and lots of spray paint.
Yes,
Lots of spray paint.
yes, let's get back to business. Hey,
let's do it.
How's you're an actor, director, you produce, you all related to LGBTQ. You are doing also a masterclass for us in the festival, which is a lot of people are very interested about LGBTQ in the industry. Let's start first with how do you write for LGBTQ? What do you need to have as a skill to be able to write LGBTQ? Because everybody cannot do that. I know. What do you say?
I think one of the most important things is to write characters that are authentic and real to the voice of whichever person you're creating. And so, you know, if you have a little insight, as I do, as being a member of the community and falling across so many different identities within the community, I feel it gives me kind of the opportunity that maybe other people don't have to breathe real characterization into a character, because I might have walked a little bit of their slice of life. And if I haven't walked it, I certainly know somebody who has. And I think that helps when writing true LGBTQ characters that are not just caricatures meant to be ridiculous. And ridiculous is good because it has a place, and God knows I have many ridiculous characters, but it has to be more than that. It has to have an authentic, a soul, like a real person behind it, and walk the journey that they walk.
Right. Jeza, I'm going to be cutting from here to there. Don't worry, we're going to be editing this, so it's okay. People need to know all the things that you have done, Jeza. Yes, tell me. You have to, because you have so much stuff that you've been doing. You do books, you do movies. Tell us a little bit about Jeza Belle, because, I mean, you're already pretty famous, but I want to hear from you,
Well,
who is Jeza Belle?
Well, you are very, very kind. Of course, I'm old, so I've been around for a long time. And you're right, I've probably stuck my foot into just about every pot that's out there in the industry. Of course, it all started way back when I started a web series called Jeza and the Bells, which was a lot of fun. And that kind of started off everything that I've wound up doing over the past decade plus, which has been everything from writing feature films to having a book. Yes, you're correct. I had an interview. Thank you very much. Yes, that's it. The Harlot's Guide to Classy Cocktails. Classy, trashy cocktails, by the way.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and I've written for many publications around the world, and have had the opportunity to perform on stage around the globe, and just do every slice of the pie. And I think that it's okay to do that. It's good to get experience in all the different avenues that are available in the business. Be really good at least one, but it's good to kind of spread your wings and put that creativity into a bunch of different areas.
Right. Yes, now that I got this book here, this is beautiful. I mean, all this, where do you get the idea to make this book, first of all? Are you into cocktails? And because we have to do something in Barcelona about this.
Yes,
okay.
Well,
Tell us a little bit about this.
Sure, well, the book came about when I thought, well, you have to I think it's important to work with your strengths. And one of my strengths is being an alcoholic and drunk. and so, well, maybe not a true alcoholic, but I definitely like my drink. And I thought it would be a lot of fun to find out what some of the most famous drag queens in the world also like to drink, and share some fun cocktail recipes, and kind of hear funny stories about things that happened to me and true stories of things that happened to them as well. And that's really the premise of the book. It was a lot of fun to create. Worked with some of, as I said, some of the best drag queens in the world. Of course, there's many, many more. You can only put so many in a book. But it really was a blast. And if you like to drink at all, I recommend you pick it up. And if you don't like to drink, but just like to laugh, pick it up too.
Right. Yes. Everybody can get this book in Amazon, right? If I'm correct.
Yes, it's available pretty much everywhere. The Harlot's Guide to Classy Cocktails by Jeza Belle, with many friends.
Right. So are you gonna do something for us in Barcelona related to this book?
Absolutely. I think that we are going, why not have a cocktail mixer? We will drink it up, and maybe I will bring my favorite. Of course, I have many favorites. When I wrote the book, one of my favorites was, I happen to really love Bloody Marys, but my other favorite that I would love for us to have while there is called the Pink Panty Dropper. It's one of my favorite drinks in the world. And it's basically pink lemonade, crushed ice, and vodka. And it is delicious. And I say we turn it up with some pink panty droppers at our film festival in Barcelona.
Tell me, how's the LGBTQ nowadays? How do you see it for us, for everybody? We all, I mean, you know, our festival is supporting very strong LGBTQ, you know, we are open festival. How's the LGBTQ nowadays? What do you think?
Well, first of all, thank you. I was really happy when you said that the festival was supporting the LGBTQ community and really opening the doors to different films that touched on this community, because not everybody does. Even though we say we are a very liberal and open industry in a sense, it's not always that easy for members of this community to be taken seriously and have their art appreciated by people who are not LGBTQ. And it's important that everybody get to see our experiences as we get to see experiences of other people that we may not always know or have background in. So, but to the bigger question, how is the LGBT community? Well, I can speak in terms of the United States. I can definitely say, without getting too political, we have gone through I would say, a very difficult time for the past 4 years. That time appears to be coming to an end. And I think that has had an impact on a lot of things that have happened around the world for our community. It's been very rough here, but I do believe that with the new joy that we are feeling here, that will also spread around the world. And really a lot of countries outside of the United States have taken stances that are much more welcoming and affirming of the community. And so maybe we have to do a little bit of catch up now. And I think we're ready for that.
Jeza, you think the industry of, filmmaking, the industry in general, is taking more seriously the LGBTQ? There are a lot of more, you feel discrimination? You think there's still discrimination toward the LGBTQ, or the industry is really open at this time?
I believe it's more open than it's ever been. However, I also believe that the door is not fully open. And that will probably come in more time, as long as we keep getting out there, being visible, and putting our art forward. And I believe that the day will come where this will not be such a grand issue. It will just be part of life and part of art, as it should be, without a label. Right.
So let me ask you one more thing. What about the people who wants to get into LGBTQ nowadays? It's easier, right, than before, let's say like 20, 30 years ago, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't even compare it, right? Because there were people who knocked down the doors, and we're not just talking about in the film and art community, just to live and be open and to be out was really, you were taking your life in your hands. Decades ago. You still are in some areas, especially if you're transgender, that can be very difficult, because at least here. And I also believe around the world, there is a very high murder rate of trans individuals. And that is sad and disgusting. But I believe, you know, we've come a long way, baby, and we've got a long way to go. And each year we progress further, and that's the way it should be. Well, it really should be that we don't have to fight, but you know, we are, and those fights have paid off. And that's why young people today, a lot of young people today, can come out and be out in a way that they couldn't 20, 30, 40 years ago. And we have to thank the people who came before us, and then we have to be the people to break down the doors for the next group of kids that come up.
Jeza, do you know if they are like, let's say, Universal or Lionsgate, but some companies like that, that is only for LGBTQ to get, do you know if there is 6? Because I'm a little bit lost on that. Can you tell me? Do you know any?
You have production companies that are out there that are, of course, led by LGBTQ people. And there are several festivals who are only LGBTQ.
Yeah,
they're not huge. And then you have several who are opening and welcoming, but not to the extent that you would think even still today. It has come a long way, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we really have made a lot of progress, but there still is progress to be made. And by golly, with every time we make somebody laugh or cry with what we do, we push that door open a little further.
Nice. Everybody, Jessa is gonna give us a great masterclass about LGBTQ. Everybody in Barcelona have to come to check her out because she knows a lot, and she's into the business, and she knows how all the people that we like LGBTQ, how to get into the industry. We have the La Veneno, Jessa, you know, La Veneno is another transgender who's doing a very famous TV series in Spain. She's coming also as well.
Oh, wonderful.
So you're gonna be able to see her. Okay, so yes, we definitely 100% on the side of the LGBTQ. Everybody stay tuned for Jessa. We're gonna start sending the schedules when she's gonna do 2 master classes during the week. She's gonna be with us. She's gonna be delivering also beautiful awards to the LGBTQ community. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna create many things, and we are very happy to have Jessa. Saying that, let's go back to, you're also a director, Jessa, and you directing LGBTQ films. What do you think is the most difficult part of directing a LGBTQ as your perspective?
Sure. Well, I think it probably is universal and not specific to LGBTQ. No, I think there are 2 aspects. One is with any venture, you want to find really phenomenal, the best talent, right? And that's pretty universal. And then the other is, and this again is not specific to LGBTQ, but it's making sure that what you see in your mind comes to life on the screen. And that's hard, I think, for any director, any producer, even, but really the director, because you have a vision of exactly how you want things to be. You have to be open to evolution with the artist that you're working with, but you know, you don't want to skimp on what it is that you really want. And I think that's universal to everything, to all communities. Yeah, and then like I said, maybe this is related to LGBTQ, but when you do go looking for the right cast and the right people, you really want stellar talent. And again, going back to what we discussed earlier, that while the door is largely open and there are so many talented people out there, they may not be where you are because, you know, people might be, you know, they might not be totally open and ready to embrace that thing, you know, that part of themselves. So I think it's the same challenges. It just has a different slice when you're dealing with our particular community.
The same. You're saying it's the same. I think yes. I was putting in a different perspective, but actually it's the same thing. Filmmaking is filmmaking, whether it's LGBTQ or drama or thriller, whatever. Yes, sir.
There is one more. There is one more, if I were to say, and there you are always thinking of a safety aspect when you are putting together any film project for LGBT community, and you know, working with, because wherever you go, you want your actors, you want your cast, you want your crew to feel safe. And sometimes when you're dressed up like a clown like this, or, you know, you are who you are, you're living your authentic life, you know, you want to make sure that your cast is safe. And when you're performing in the middle of a street or, you know, wherever you are, there is not always the same level of respect given wherever you shoot. And so safety does become a little bit of an issue, I would say. That's probably unique to this community.
Right. Jeza, what about, I remember, I mean, you took care of us very good back in New York when you do Jeza and the Belle. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody is very happy. I remember everybody. I'm in contact with everybody, actually. And we always remind this great experience we have in New York. Yes, that's what I was watching today, the Jeza and the Belle. Yes. Hey, Jeza, how was why is your name Jeza Belle? Yes. Where do you get that beautiful name? We know that's your name, but tell me, that's your.
Sure. Well, actually, the full name Jezebel comes from a woman in the Bible. And she's a harlot, considered a harlot, considered a promiscuous, terrible woman. And so I wanted to play on that name and say that sometimes out of the things that we think are the worst, we can find the best. So I split the name up, Jeza, J-E-Z-A, and then Belle is like a last name to just kind of add a little comedy to it. But really it was born out of this idea of something deep that we oftentimes are so quick to judge people in this world, and that the people that we're judging many times have more light in them than we do. And so it's important to look beneath the surface and really to be open and loving to all people, because I bet you even Jezebel, the famous woman in history, probably had her share of heartache and pain too, and was a real person underneath just who we see. So that's really where it came out of. And then I, of course, like you said, wrote this web series, Jeza and the Belles. We were drag queen superheroes. We were sisters. It was a lot of fun. And it really kind of launched my career, which wasn't the plan, because actually I never planned on being a drag queen. I planned on writing and directing and producing that web series, but I did not plan on starring in the web series. And so at the last minute, I wound up deciding, you know what, wound up thinking I couldn't find somebody exactly to do this part. And I thought, I'm going to step in and do this part, having never really done drag in my life. And once the series was over, people just started reaching out to me left and right, all over the place, asking me to do things. And I was like, a drag queen is born.
Wow, I didn't know that. You two know. Wow, that's impressive what you just told me. Yes, you also do comedy, stand-up, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you, just tell us a little bit, because I want all these, just a little bit, so we have all these reserved for Barcelona, but just give us a little taste now for people. It's very difficult to do a stand-up comedy. I know that for a fact. How do you prepare yourself to do that? How is the process? A little bit tell us before you jump into the stage.
I enjoy stand-up. So first of all, you have to I think you have to have a sense of humor yourself, right? I mean, if you can't laugh at life, how in the world are you going to get up on a stage and make other people laugh? And that's really I think where it starts with, if you're going to do comedy. Have a good sense of humor, be open to laughing at yourself first and foremost. Don't be that serious. I mean, after all, look at me. Do I look that serious? I mean, if I can't laugh at myself, how can I expect anybody to laugh at anything that I say? So I start comedy with a good sense of humor, and then you look at the things that are happening around you. And even in the worst of things, we can find humor. It helps us deal and handle with things that sometimes we can't handle any other way.
Right. Just like when you do stand-up, you have like a script that you memorize, or you always more improvise? What do you think the real stand-ups? They follow a script, or they really improvise, or they do both?
So usually when you are doing a stand-up routine, you have you have a certain amount of minutes. So you have an arc of comedy that you start and end with, and several jokes along the way, and you know how many minutes that it takes. Now, if you're doing your own show, as I often do, or host my own
Mhm.
show and then bring in other talent, then you have a little bit more leeway because, all right, I don't have just 5 minutes. If I feel like taking 7 minutes to make fun of something, then I'm going to take 7 minutes, you know? And that's the difference when you actually are the show, right? But when you're a member of somebody else's show, then it's important to be respectful and say, if they say 5 minutes, you give them 5 minutes. You give them the best damn 5 minutes that you got, and you walk off in 5 minutes because that's what you were asked to do and you're part of a production. Keep it professional.
Yes, like I told you before we start the interview, I say I'm gonna be jumping from place to place. I want to ask you something very. Don't be scared, Jeza. Okay.
I'm never scared. Never.
Yes, good. And don't worry about it. We're open here. Tell me, what is the
Absolutely.
most crazy thing you have done that you think is crazy?
As a drag queen or in my life?
You choose.
Oh,
As a
goodness.
drag queen,
Well,
let's say, yes.
as a drag queen, I would say, well, I don't know if it's the wildest or craziest thing I ever did, but I had like the best photo shoot one time with like the hottest naked men. And the photographer ripped all my clothes and put water all over my face, ran my makeup so I would look like I was insanely crazy, shredded my wig, and I was entangled in a whole group of naked men for this photo shoot looking like I was a drunk mess. And it was just so much fun. Loved it. So I don't know if it's the wildest thing, but it sure was one of the funnest things.
Wow, wow, Jess, I like that. I see all those pictures you place in your social media, eh? I see that. Yes, yes. Be careful, lady. Huh?
That's right. I'm getting ready to recreate that with you in Barcelona.
Oh. Hey, Jessa. Hey, listen. They're gonna be it's gonna be a lot of people in Barcelona, so you're gonna be very well surrounded. Okay.
Can't wait. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Tell me. Let's talk about a little bit more about LGBTQ. How do you, a little bit, just tell me, okay? How can people get found, a sponsorship of productions to invest in LGBTQ? Just a little bit, because this is all what is going to the master class. How easy, how difficult, how is because I mean, for filmmaking, drama, it's very difficult to find, the right production who believe in you for the first time, and it's really difficult. What I notice now, Jessa, that I've been into this business, getting contact, is everything is through contacts. Actually, that's how people does
absolutely.
things. They even don't have they don't have the talent, but they have the contact and then do it because of that. Tell me a little bit in the LGBTQ how we have a lot of Spanish people. We have a special guy, David. He do a lot of LGBTQ, but he's hitting that wall. That wall that you can't pass that wall. So how a little bit, because this is going to the master class, so I don't want you to reveal me much. How LGBTQ directors can get found, founding in a movie? How is the chances? How it works? A little bit, tell me.
Well, I would say the first and most important thing you need to do is, first of all, be good at your craft, right? You have to be good at that. And because you can't just come and say, well, I'm a member of the LGBTQ, woo, pick me, work with me. No, you have to be good at what you do and keep getting better and better. Because you know what? None of us reach a pinnacle perfect point. We're all continuing to progress and grow. So keep getting better at what you do, first and foremost. Second of all, don't be afraid to be visible. Put yourself out there. Show up at things. Submit to things. So what if people don't like it? You know what? You know how many times people haven't liked some of the things I've done? Tough. You do it. Do something that you're passionate about. Write about what you're passionate about. Direct what you're passionate about. Produce what you're passionate about. And eventually, some people somewhere are going to say, wow, that's really awesome and really great. But it's got to start with you. And you putting it out there and being visible. And then third, and this is something that I learned very early on for myself, is that I decided a long time ago, I'm not going to wait for anybody to come hand me a golden ticket. I'm going to build my own golden ticket. right? I'm not waiting for anybody to say, yes, ma'am, you're good. No, I said I'm good. I'm doing what I think is great. And thus we bust down the doors. We create the open door and don't wait for somebody else to open it for us. I think that's very important, you know, because you could spend your whole life waiting for someone else to validate you and back you, or you could get out and make it happen.
Right, I love that. Everybody, so that's why everybody have to come to check Jeza in the masterclass LGBTQ in the industry. Jeza, let's continue. I love this. I love this. I love your energy. I love your smile. I love your hair. I love you, Jeza. You know that, right? Already.
Of course, and I love you back.
Jeza, tell me, what do you? What is it? I know you are very strong person, definitely, because what is the thing that you think you fear in the industry for LGBTQ? Is anything in particular, or you have no problem? Or for me as a filmmaker, I tell you, I see the criticism, but there's something that's always there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that everybody have to overcome because it's part of life. But what do you think for the LGBTQ that you fear there in the industry? Is anything?
Yeah, well, I definitely fear, as I think we touched on earlier, is the lack sometimes of opportunities and the fear that people have of us, right? You know, some people are afraid of us. They might think we're too dramatic. They might, you know, whatever stereotype they have for us, sometimes they're not willing to take a chance. I mean, listen, I've written screenplays that have placed in some of the highest positions in some of the top film festivals in the world. And I've also had other people say to me, we would never move forward with somebody with a name like Jeza Belle. We're not working with somebody in drag, you know? And so my fear would be opportunities and people giving, you know, again, giving us chances. But like I said, if we wait for somebody to give us a chance, wow, we've missed our own chances that we could have created. So
right.
to harken back to that, you know?
That's a beautiful answer. Let me ask you a little bit more deeper question. Have you ever felt discriminated, and how do you take that? How, because I've been talking, how we overcome discrimination, do you think, in the industry of LGBTQ?
Well, that is a very powerful and big question, of course, Darwin. How do you overcome being discriminated against is number one, you put one foot in front of the other and don't let people tear you down. And that's hard, can be very hard, but you still do it because as many people have said, success is often the best revenge. And that also helps it helps other people behind you also, you know, find their path and makes it a little easier for them. So, you know, again, we just keep fighting and keep pushing forward. And while we continue to make progress, we have more progress to make.
All right. Yes, sir. What about do you, when you do the Jeza and the Bells, do you work in the post-production of, as a director with the editor who edit your films? Because they're really good. How was that process? Tell us a little bit, especially for the LGBTQ directors that we have. How do you work in post-production?
Well, that was my very, very, very first time working on anything. So I did work with them, but I was a little bit more perhaps intimidated by my lack of knowledge. As time has gone on and I've done more things, sort of embraced the control freak that I am, and thus been involved in post-production for a lot of stuff after that, where sometimes it's a battle, but again, this is trying to see what you have in your head come to life, and post-production is so important because you can shoot everything, but if you can't put it together and make it effective, then, you know, what you have is just a bunch of, you know, a lot of film and a lot of powerful moments maybe, but they have to come together in post-production. So yay for the people who work in production and for editors and people who add music and all this stuff, because it's what makes something good, great.
Right. Yes, so let me ask you a few more questions. It's interesting this, because our festival is all about filmmaking, it's all about films. So let's get into a little bit filmmaking. What do you think is the most hardest part in a film? in the pre-production, production, or post-production. They're all difficult. We know that. But for you, which is the one that you really, pull your hairs out in? What do you think?
Wow. I think they're each hard in their own way and each fun in their own way. But probably I would think that a lot of people might agree that post can be harder. Pre, you have the excitement and it's tons and tons of groundwork, tons of structuring things and, making sure everything's set up and ready to go. You go like 400 million miles an hour to make sure things are lined up and ready to happen. Then you go 4 bazillion miles an hour when you are in the middle of doing something to try to scrunch it into a certain time, time frame, but there's a breathable, a kind of electric excitement during that time. But after that, the glitz and glam might be gone from the, from the feel of the shooting, but then there's a ton of work to put it together to make it great. So I probably would say post-production is the hardest.
I think so. I'm struggling now in post-production with a few films, and it's painful because the story is not coming together. Like you say, it's very tricky, the post. Yes, let me ask you 2 more questions. What do you think is, as a director, you should do a film that you like it, or you need to think about the audience? What is the best approach to do your idea, or also be contaminated by, okay, what is the audience is gonna like? What do you think?
It depends what you're making. So for example, if you're making a film, I think you have to think about your vision first, and then the audience in a way second, but you have to keep thinking about what this is going to look like to them and how they're going to interpret it. And will it be the vision that you are trying to get interpreted? So I think you can't forget them along the way. But then again, if you're doing something like a live production, which I often do, which is totally different, if you don't think about the audience first and foremost, then you are just getting up and selfishly entertaining yourself and nobody cares. You have to put them at the forefront. So I think it's a little bit different with making film, but you cannot forget the audience. I don't care what kind of art you're doing, because you have to think about how it's going to be interpreted. Because if you have a vision, you're wanting an interpretation, or you want it open to interpretation, but that's an art in itself. So I don't think you can forget the audience at all levels.
Right.
But it does start with your seed of an idea.
That's correct, right? Yes, let me ask you, what do you think he makes a great LGBTQ film? What do you think?
Heart. I want to feel something. I really want to feel something about the characters. I think the characters are the most important thing. And that comes across from good writing, good acting, good storytelling. I want to feel it, whether it's something that makes me cry and I really, really feel for the person going through it, or I'm rooting for them to win and carry through, or I'm amused. I'm greatly cracking up and laughing because they make me feel, that they've taken me on a journey, so that even a punchline and a joke takes me to a place. So I want to feel something.
Right. So you're telling me we start with the script, right? With the story,
absolutely. Right? Yes, writers. Yes. It starts with the script.
Jeza, I'm so excited. I have so many questions, but I have one more for you, and I'm gonna let you go. Are you gonna behave in Barcelona?
Absolutely not. And if, the only way to find out is to come and see. And I wish everybody who's listening to us will be there. Can't wait. I'm very excited. We're going to have a ball.
Yes, definitely. I'm agree 100%. We're going to have fun. You guys are going to learn a lot with Jeza. Jeza, thank you so much for being part of our festival. You are part of the festival. You are an organizer. You're going to give us a great masterclass. You're going to make us feel good. So thank you so much. I don't know how many times I have to say thank you to you, but it comes from the bottom of my heart, Well,
thank you back from the bottom of my heart as well. And I cannot wait to see you and to see everybody there. Have a wonderful, very short time, because we will be together soon.
So we have the one and only Jeza Belle. We're happy to have you. She's going to probably do a few cocktails. Everybody who wants to get this book is in Amazon. You guys are gonna enjoy it, because I have so many questions about this book, but I have to let you go. Okay, we're gonna talk about this book more in the future. Okay, Jeza, thank you so much, Jeza, for this opportunity. We love you.
Thank you.
Hasta luego. Bye, guapa.
Bye bye.
Adios. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
What does it say for the state of the world when the streets aren't safe for a working girl? The cries of the human race have reached to outer space.